Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. It's compressor day, so been jamming away over at the coating shop. Have not had time to work on anything fun, which is unfortunate, but it's how it goes. Work first, play later. We got the taillight kind of figured out on this. I just got to get her a couple hours to start welding up some brackets and trimming some stuff, and then solidify that and the seat. And then once the seat and things are solidified and welded and done, fender and tins can go to the coating shop for powder, and then we can start doing the internals. I do have the oil tank and the starter bits, the big important stuff, hooked up, but it's not anywhere near done. It's just quick mock-up. What's gonna clear, what's gonna work. But this is the oil tank we're gonna be running, a little half horseshoe. Pipes and everything seem like they're gonna clear, so I don't anticipate any problems. The only other thing I haven't done on this is drill a hole, cut that tab off for the pivot mount, and drill a hole for the front mount of the seat to pull this back down. But I think he might come out this weekend just to verify, so I know that I'm moving in a direction that he's okay with, since it is a customer bike. And then we got a ton of work to do on the front end in terms of headlight bracket and brake stuff, but we're not playing with any of that today as much as I want to. This is the first day in over a week I've been here, but I haven't been able to mess with anything. This is the first free day I have to get any sort of mechanical stuff done. Friday night. Woo! We're gonna be diving into the compressor, so I know this is gonna be very expensive at the end of it, but I'm struggling on the parts thing. If you've watched the videos or followed along, I'm not gonna go into that too much, but I'm having a hard time finding parts and figuring out which parts I need. I can't do until all of this is apart, and then I can kind of compare and contrast for all the weird random part numbers, because a lot of the part numbers they have for this are obsolete. This is a 1997 compressor. I have the factory part numbers, but I haven't been able to find a direct crossover to the updated version of parts. As far as I'm aware, they should still be available. It's just a matter of figuring out the right updated part numbers. So we're going to start up top and work our way down. I'm not gonna drain the tank right away. Do I have I'll clear a bucket out or something for the drain on this, but we are only focused on the screw side today. I did find a couple more leaks, stupid things. I think the valve cover gasket's leaking, and some of the breather grommets are leaking, so I will start sourcing that, but that's a pretty common John Deere motor. That's easy. I can actually go to the John Deere, well, heavy equipment place down the road, but they have all of the parts for John Deere stuff in stock most of the time. It's just really, really expensive because it's John Deere. Why would it be affordable for working people? But we're gonna dive right into this. So let me grab some tools. I rolled the little service cart over here, but I'm gonna pop all of these lines free and the big hoses first. Get this free. I'm gonna try and leave this valve. I don't know the terms. So this is gonna be a goofy video of me taking things apart that I don't necessarily know the names for. If you do this all the time, please update me and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I haven't been able to find anything on this, but there is a filter in this canister. This canister is the oil reservoir and the moisture or oil water separator deal. Not water, but oil separator. Everything's really expensive in terms of parts as far as I've been able to find. I've seen anywhere from $150 to $500, $600, $700 for the moisture separator, but I don't know what I need until all of this comes apart. So let's start at the top and work our way down. Let me grab my other light that little inside area up. We'll grab the light and some tools, deal with the bar prop rod for the door. Just an extra piece of gas pipe we cut out of here. I do have new shocks in the mail for these doors as well, but hopefully this doesn't fall on me. Honestly, it probably will at some point, because I'm working right here and I put the prop rod here. Should move this, let's do that right now. Won't be as good of entertainment because it reduces the likelihood that I'm going to hurt myself when the rod decides to pop out or I walk into it and this collapses and hits me in the head. But I feel better about that. Stupid little thing to change right now. So we'll grab some tools. It looks like mostly 3/4 inch bolts around the outside of this. I'll grab the channel locks, separate the air hoses, and what we got here, 9/16 half inchers on the air lines from this regulator valve thing. This doodad needs to come apart. It should be able to come off with the upper lid housing. And I finally found all the manual stuff for this. I had to subscribe to a stupid thing online and then cancel the subscription to open them. But I left those brochures at work. Cool. Grab some tools, let's get into this. Hopefully the air noise isn't too loud over there from the heater. I'm working in a t-shirt, but it's really not that warm today. Got snow going on out there. But we'll start with some of these bigger fittings, I think. So hopefully we can break this free. Oh, come on. Already too big. Let's go a little looser. Get a better grab on this. And then find some long extension pipes that might work. How thin a wall can I get away with here to break this free? Here goes nothing. Ugh. Ugh. It budged. I have no idea how frequently or how often any of these things actually came apart. It moved, so I'm gonna be able to go back to the smaller pipe wrenches here. This would have been really nice to do all of this when I had that entire upper half of the machine off when we were doing the water pump. Got rid of the whole roof and all that, but camo. Or is that what I just turned last time? Come on. Did I turn the wrong fitting? Come on. Already not having fun with this. Yeah, that's moving. It's moving everything. So there's an inner fitting here that I'm trying to keep stationary. Jesus, bigger than that. All right, first one, already a pain in the ass. We have a lock ring fitting on the back side, big fitting here, and then this inner one. All of those are trying to come off together. I need to somehow get this one to stay stationary because I'm trying to break this middle one off of there. Let's see if I got one more small pipe wrench somewhere up here. We're not in Harley world anymore, that's for sure. It's as big as I got here. So that's over 1.5 inches. I need like 2-inch size fittings. Or am I better off just taking this off first? I don't know. I don't know if I can get this to stay in place because this is upside down. Screw it, we'll take the whole thing out together. I guess not what I wanted to do, but rather limited here. Twisting and kinking this lower hose back here, which is not what I wanted to do. So behind this fence that I can't really get to, I'm gonna keep messing with this. Let me see if I can get some sort of wrench on the inside. Let's go to the smaller lines. Worst case, if I run to the store and grab some huge crescent wrenches, if I can get a crescent wrench on this one, I can loosen this way where this will wedge on the top of this plate. It's a very thick plate. Wedge that here, and then I don't have to worry about kinking and twisting these hoses, because that's not going to be cheap to replace either. We have a section of exhaust pipe hooked up to the valve. So this pipe runs up across the roof line, but I feel like the roof of this is also not super rigid mounted. Yeah, we're just bending the pipe and the roof all at once, so that's neat. As we're prying on this, can I tighten? What if we put a longer extension on the end of this? Let's see what happens if we go through 3 rounds of ribs on here. Like that. A smaller piece of pipe. God, I really need like a really long jack handle or something, but that's not big enough. What can I make work? 2 pieces of aluminum extension? All right, well, the GoPro froze. I have no idea where we left off. This is moving, so it's unthreading from the little flangey bit here. This is an adapter to run your flange MPT to whatever the threads are on this, SAE 24 or something goofy, I don't know. But we're kinking our air hose, which I don't like doing. And there's also 2 bolts right here for the flange. So I think I'm gonna say screw it and take those 2 flanges off and cut a gasket for that, unless I can find one in the parts bin. Separate this, and then I can unkink that section of hose. That basically is your air feed to your outlets. So there's another section down here. There's a skid plate on the bottom of this that I can get to. But trying to get pipe wrenches or anything big enough, these are probably 2-inch. That's probably like 1.5 inches. No, it's bigger than that. I can tell you. Yeah, easy 1.5 inches, 2-inch fitting here. I don't have wrenches that big. So instead, we are going to try separating the bolts and pull the flange, and then we'll have to make a gasket. It's not perfect. I'm not trying to make more work for myself, but that will be much easier. So 3/4 bolts on the flange on each side. Hopefully there's enough room on the bottom one, which there is not. Not yet, anyway. So I'll take the lower, I'm on the back side now, hopefully you guys can see me. I know it's not the best view. I'm right here, but we'll pop this lower 3/4 bolt out from the ring around the top of the oil tank, and then I should have room to get into the inside one. Man, what a pain. Wish I had any clue what I was doing so I could describe these things a little bit better, but I told you it'd be an adventure. So socket's working just fine on the lower one. Got a bolt and a star washer on the lower flange. Should be about the same on the top flange. So unthread this there. Got one more up here. And then I can stop kinking this main feed hose that goes down to the front airline. Honestly, this would have been a better approach than trying to separate that from the get-go. And I'm guessing older stuff, the gasket's probably going to be okay too. But we'll check on that. Try and be a little more gentle. Ow. And the metal splinter component. Yeah, that was way easier. Way, way easier. So, gasket stayed intact. I didn't have any leaks up there. I don't anticipate having any leaks up there moving forward. But on this, especially, I'm putting all the bolts right back in since I have no idea what any of this stuff does yet. So these go there, airlines off. Now we can start working on the oil lines and the smaller bits. Hang this up and over here out of the way. Progress. One part of a million are now off of the compressor. Then we'll start messing around with these little lines. Ooh, solid steel lines, that's not the best. Should be a swivel up top. Doesn't feel like it wants to swivel all that much. So 1/2 inch in the middle, 9/16 up top. It's just a little junction here. That, much better. That was surprisingly not that tight. Just like that. Don't know where that one goes, but the lower can stay because that's going on with the lid. Basically, I'm pulling everything off that the lid is going to get in the way of, or that might get in the way of the said lid. What do we got here? 9/16. Helps if you grab the right wrench that's in your hand. Not too bad on the airline. And do I have any paint or markers to orient these two? God, I really need to grab the bare essentials of stupid things that I really need to have up here. I don't have a paint marker, but if I polish clean one of these hoses, so one will have dust, one won't. That's the equivalent of labeling them front and back, right? We'll start separating these airlines. There's one. Arm wrench again. And two. Dirty one goes in back. You guys will remember that, right? Dirty one goes in back. Oh, crap. Oh, well. All right, so airlines are off, oil lines are off. The lengths are different, so that's helpful. Maybe that'll stay that way, maybe it won't, we'll find out. But now we're ready to pull the lid, because that's all of the connections we have for this. So now we'll pop these 3/4 bolts all the way around here, and then we'll come back when this is actually ready to pop off. Figure out if it's a filter or O-rings in there. This is really dirty. I'm gonna grab the air gun and blow some of this off. So I can get to all of the bolts on here with a socket except for the back two. Well, 3, I guess. We already took one off. And I might be able to use a drill in here. I don't know if I have enough room or if it's even worth trying to get in there. They're not in there that tight. 1, 2, yeah. All right, you can get an impact on all of them except for one. So that's a little bit helpful. Got a tray here. One of them will have to go by hand, which is kind of unfortunate, but whatever, not the end of the world. If I wasn't so worried about parts, I would pop this whole valving assembly off now that everything's separated. But I don't know what's available in terms of parts. So the less I have to order, the better. But we're free and floating, if that counts for anything. The only problem is this is threaded in. Damn it. You know what? Screw it. Putting 2 bolts back in here. We're gonna split that upper valve assembly too. It's just gonna make everything easier to get apart, I think. What do we got? 4 bolts on there for those 4 5/8, it looks like. 11/16, 5/8. 11/16. I knew I was opening Pandora's box. Now we're doing it more so, but it's becoming more inconvenient not to take these apart than it is to get this off. So you got 4 bolts around the outside of this. You can get to 3 of them with a wrench. One will need a wrench. 3 with a ratchet, rather. This one you can't get to with the air valves still hooked up. And what is this? This is the minimum pressure valve, I think it's called. Something like that. And the rest of these are already hand tight, so that's good. If we can save any of the gaskets or the gaskets come off in one piece, we're probably just gonna leave them that way and do a little dab of silicone. But look at that, way better. And based on my internet research, they do have this weird triangle piece gasket, so that should be okay. And then there's a way to test these valving components if you run air through these. If I can remember that in the video, we will try and do it. There we go, we got all the bolts free now. God, this is so filthy. Tried cleaning this too, and it's still covered in sand and dust and years of, oh God, 1/2-inch plate. What are you? Okay, so that one is just one giant tube, the pickup, their scavenging tube or whatever it is. I was worried that one of those might be clogged, causing the leak, but use the lips. Now I'm covered in oil. But that is good. So we'll set that over there. Okay. Top lid is off. Top 1/2-inch plate or whatever that is. Yeah, it's probably about a 1/2-inch solid steel plate, very heavy. Scavenging tube is literally just a tube that runs through there. It's got a gasket, and what I was worried about is all the tutorials and things that not tutorials, but even rebuild or water separator replacements, they were all way different filters than this. So this one does run a singular gasket on top, gasket on bottom, and then it's just a flanged plate around the outside with bolt holes. There's some that sit on the inside of this, some that sit on the outside, but looking at this now, I can kind of see what it is that I'm gonna have to look for when I order a new one. The 2 with the part number that I found with the actual part number listed on eBay were just this inner section of plate. You can kind of see that machining line. This is where the gasket was on the darker section. The brighter section is the inside. So let's see what we got in here. Big old gasket on the bottom. And here is our massive water oil separator. I keep saying water separator, but it's an oil separator, which honestly, this looks really good. Really, really good. I figured this would be soaked in oil. It's not. Atlas Copco. Okay. 1615-685600. I can find the part number. Not a ton of parts available. So, there's that. But the gasket stayed in one piece. No major rips or tears, so I think we're going to be okay on that. Until right now when I try and actually separate this without ripping it. Normally, I like to try and reuse all of these. Let me grab something better. Because if I can avoid a gasket kit, I would love to do that. And we'll oil the crap out of these gaskets or grease them when we put all this back together. If parts were affordable and available, I wouldn't have any qualms about any of this. All right, that I'm good with. Nice grease piece on some machined flat plate steel. Should be good there. Lots of cleanup, lots of work to do before this actually gets put back together. But I'm okay with that. Now, let's take a look in here. Ooh, GoPro's gonna die. Here is the oil tank. So we have an entire giant tank of oil and a very old school style mechanical float right there. The issue I've been having with this was load level. Right now, we're perfectly fine. We're above our green mark there, right at the line. It's a problem. Sometimes the lights make it worse. You can see the line, hopefully, but we're on the high side, just barely the high side of good. When it's running, that drops way down. So I don't know if that oil scavenging tube or the return down to the bottom end was the issue, but that's what we're kind of trying to look for along with addressing the major oil leak down below. Up top, I haven't seen any major oil issues on the high side of this. This gasket wasn't leaking, the tank wasn't leaking. There was no major air blow-by situations going on up top, so I think we should be okay there. I'm trying to be really delicate and not drop a bunch of crap in the oil, but I know we are going to be replacing the oil on this, as much as that would be great if I didn't have to. It's the most expensive part of this entire thing. I can get a new separator, but honestly, looking at that filter, I'll take a look here in a second, but this looks really good. On the outside, I mean, it's about all I can talk about because I don't know anything else, but looking at this now, it's not heavily coated in oil. It's not like it's been collecting and not separating air the way it's supposed to. I don't have air or oil spraying out the line. I think this is probably about what it's supposed to do. Oil basically comes in, oil and air get pumped through here, it sticks to this, drips back down to the bottom. I guess I can hook up the air compressor and blow some air through this bit and see if it's actually separating properly, but as of right now, I think I'm okay with the separator component. Thought that was going to be in way worse of shape. On the inside, I mean, now all we have left is a reservoir. So fill plug down here, sight plug here, and then we got to trace these oil lines back down to the bottom of this, which means most of the rest of this video, maybe it'll be part 2, but most of the next bit are going to be underneath this. So we'll be tracing these oil lines down, ideally testing that valve over here that we already removed, and I don't know if I feel like climbing around on the ground yet. I think I might just call it and do a 2-part video, even if I keep filming tonight. Part 2 will be the bottom side of the compressor. Or the end of part 1. I don't know what I do in editing. Let me think on that. We'll be back.